Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist. Top 50 Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, again, as we continue on with the month of May, hope you all had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I know I did, and I'm sure we all are guilty of saying this at some point in our lives, but I really do mean it. I feel I have the best mom in the entire world, the best cook, best listener. So grateful to have her, and again, obviously, along with all the other important moms in my life. Hey, it was a great Mother's Day weekend. I hope you had one, too, as well. Folks, as always, there's a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me preface this by saying that, obviously, in previous weeks, you know that I am more than capable of being intellectually honest on this program and philosophically consistent. And certainly when it comes to the Jersey Journal, I'm more than willing to give this newspaper and this longtime institution here in Hudson County their flowers, which I did a few weeks ago when members of the Jersey Journal, which include their editor, Ron Zentlinger, and other journalists, which include Joshua Rosario and Terry West, they attended the New Jersey Press Association dinner, where, to no one's surprise, the Jersey Journal received a plethora of awards. Now, again, they do a lot of great investigative pieces, and they do cover Hudson County relatively well. Again, with the disappearance of the Hudson Reporter and certainly other online news sites that have been surfacing, it's really been a testament to see the Jersey Journal still surviving, obviously with the success of the Hudson County View, as well as the Jersey City Times, along with the tap-intos in both Hoboken, Jersey City, and Bayonne. But from time to time, the Jersey Journal will tend to piss you off, and this past week, they certainly did. And one of the things that really upsets me about the Jersey Journal is sort of like their selective memory when it comes to when they want to be outraged. Now, let me preface this by saying that New Jersey City University at one time started off as Jersey City State College, a small, urban, mid-size, small-scale college here in Hudson County. Now, for anyone that ever went on to become a teacher or dated a teacher or married a teacher, which I've done all the three, I know the significance of what Jersey State College represents. It was that college you went to locally if you didn't want to dorm away and go to Rutgers or go to Seton Hall or go to Trenton State College, which again will go on to become the College of New Jersey. Well, if you wanted to go into education, whether it be elementary school or high school, well, more times than not, if you want to save money and not dorm, you went to Jersey State College. I know this because my ex-wife got her bachelor's degree from Jersey State College and also her master's degree from then NJCU, as it would sort of transition into a university. Now, again, folks, of course, that master's degree has the last name Uribe, not just because we were married, but certainly, again, doing a lot of the work. So, one extra graduate degree to brag about isn't necessarily, the worst thing to do. But in any event, folks, one of the things that stood out about NJCU in its transition from Jersey State College was the enrollment and what we were seeing in terms of funding coming from Trenton and from the legislature, and depends whoever was in the governor's office. And as Trenton State, Jersey State College became New Jersey City University, well, ladies and gentlemen, we would see leadership change. And in the last 10 years, Sue Henderson became an outright embarrassment. Now, when we think about the fiscal mess that is now NJCU, or at least was at one time, well, you can thank Sue Henderson for that. Now, aside from her stepping down and receiving a sizable exit package from the university, and also a failing grade from a commission at the state level, not just for her, but the Board of Trustees in NJCU, when was the Jersey Journal ever outraged about what was going on at New Jersey University? Because it wasn't like Sue Henderson was there for just a couple of years. She was there for 10 years. Okay? Now, and also here's another thing, too, I think that we forget as well. Now, Dr. McMillan, the outgoing commissioner of the Department of Education, was an absolute disgrace and an absolute failure in Trenton. Now, of course, the governor, despite being as progressive as he is, knows it's a bad optic to fire a black woman in Trenton from any government position. So why not just let her transition into becoming the next president of New Jersey City University? Well, thankfully, the Board of Trustees got wind of this, and of course, denied her. Now, again, let's also go by the premise that this is based on reliable sources. This is not speculation. This is not hearsay. This is not me sort of concocting some lie. This is fact, folks. This has become common knowledge. She bombed the interview with the Board of Trustees at NJCU. And subsequently, that opened the door for the current interim president, Andres Acebo. Now, why Ron Zentlinger, Joshua Rosario, and the rest of the staff at the Jersey Journal have been so punitive on Andres, well, folks, that's anybody's guess. But why they weren't more punitive on Sue Henderson, that remains to be seen. In a time when we've seen Oprah completely being gutted, and obviously now that bill sits on the desk of the emperor himself, Phil Murphy, well, all this entire time, don't you think that at some point Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario from the Jersey Journal maybe could have Oprah'd the financial records of New Jersey University? It's not just enough to write a couple of articles on Sue Henderson's way out. That's easy. But if you're really serious about condemning bad management and bad fiscal decisions, then Ron and Joshua, you should have been crucifying Sue Henderson every single day until she left the office of the presidency at New Jersey University. But you chose not to. Now, again, whether it's because she's a woman, she's a white woman, and it's funny because, liberals like you guys, hey, you're always ready to shit on white people whenever possible, so why not now? But again, I don't want to sort of fall into the trap and go into the rabbit hole of identity politics and anything else, because, I don't like to play the race card. But it's interesting that you never once crucified this white woman. Again, only 2 articles on her way out. But Andres Acebo, a guy who lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes New Jersey University, going up and down the state, going to fundraisers, trying to cut costs, trying to petition Trenton to get as much funding as possible compared to the other universities, like my alma mater, that gets over $100 million, right, from Trenton, where NJCU barely gets $5 million. Now, again, it's my understanding that not hiring Dr. McMillan didn't sit well with the powers to be in Trenton. And of course, they decided to take it out on Andres Acebo and the administration at New Jersey University. Well, again, whoever's in the governor's office needs to come to sort of grips with the reality that Dr. McMillan sucks. She was a horrible commissioner for the Department of Education, and why would you ever want to pass the buck and have her fill another important position at a university that's trying to stay afloat? It's not bad enough that she already bombed with the DOE, but you want ultimately to sort of put the nail in the coffin for NJCU? Yeah, no thanks. And I'm glad that Dr. McMillan wasn't, again, given the position of interim president at New Jersey University. But you know who was? Again, Andres Acebo. And for a guy that's had to make some very tough decisions, again, cutting where it's not popular. Again, folks, Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario, they're good journalists. I'll give them that. But do you trust them to run a hot dog stand or a Target or much less a university? Yeah, definitely not. So I think it's rich for them to sort of, sit there all sanctimoniously, throwing jabs at Andres whenever possible. What Andres is doing is a very difficult task. Again, having worked in academia, I know how fickle academics and those that work in higher education can be. So when you have to cut costs, when you have to cut certain positions, when you have to cut spending in certain departments, well, again, that's the nature of the beast. You have to make tough decisions. You can't please everyone. And when you're the interim president of New Jersey University, and again, the Board of Trustees are watching your every move to see that at the end of this year, when discussions have to resume about, hey, do we extend Andres? Do we give him X amount of years and X amount of money and remove the interim title and make him the president of NJCU? Well, folks, it's an easy decision. The Board of Trustees needs to keep Andres Acebo. But you wouldn't know that by reading the Jersey Journal, which is interesting to me. Again, you're quick to leave Sue Henderson alone, but a local Cuban guy, a brown person, who's one of the few Hispanic presidents of any university in the state of New Jersey, and by the way, the youngest ever, you would think you'd cut him a little more slack, walking into such an impossible position. Again, a position that was created by Sue Henderson and her horrible decision-making. Good riddance to her. I mean, it's a disgrace that she got almost $1 million in her exit package. I wouldn't even give her $1 with the shitty job that she did at NJCU. But folks, let's be intellectually honest here. I don't know what type of hard-on Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario have for Andres Acebo. Does he not grant them interviews? Is he not accessible? That's not true. because I've interviewed him on my other show with Jersey First TV, Real Talk, which, by the way, folks, you can check out on Monday nights via jerseyfirst.org/TV, and also, of course, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, along with YouTube. And I interviewed Andres recently. It was a delightful interview talking about higher education, his job as interim president, and all sort of the peaks and valleys that he's had and obstacles to deal with while being the interim president. But of course, word to the grapevine through the Jersey Journal, of course, Uncle Dave with NJ Spotlight News is, why would Andres ever go on a show hosted by Fernando Uribe? I don't know. Maybe because I win multiple awards for my brand of journalism? Because I'm a respected educator? Because I'm a respected philanthropist in the community? Yeah, those are all things that, by the way, certainly David Cruz and Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario can brag about, some awards in journalism, but you can't brag about anything else because your liberal slant is showing excessively. But this is the thing, folks. And this is this is what bothers me about the establishment media in New Jersey. Not just the liberal establishment media statewide, but the local liberal media, such as the Jersey Journal. Do me a favor. Be a little more consistent. You could have gone after Sue Henderson repeatedly and daily on her way out. You chose not to. Are you just now overcompensating by going after Andres for any little move? It's like you're bitching and moaning and nagging like one of those insufferable Latina ex-girlfriends I've had that just tiki 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 tiki. Guys, you're not. I mean, really, you're not even women, but you're acting like it when you're sort of incessantly nagging and bitching and moaning in your columns about Andres Acebo. He's doing a good job. He deserves to be retained as the permanent president of NJCU. But you wouldn't know that by reading their columns. And every single time they can take a jab at Andres, they never fail to do so. Folks, again, just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should. And these are grown-ass men. These aren't kids. Ron Dellinger's an old man. Josh Rosario isn't some kid. There's a grown-ass man, too. You would think that they know better and act with a little more decorum. Folks, again, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't always have decorum, but I don't have to. But for journalists, again, supposedly print journalists and journalists, they're supposed to be reporting what's going on in the community. Well, they might do it once in a while. And you know what? A clock is right twice a day, too. When it comes to Ron Zentlinger and Josh Rosario, especially when it comes to their coverage of NJCU, you need to do better, guys. Because it kind of reminds us that, well, you know what? The same reason a lot of people don't read the Jersey Journal, well, it's the same reason why most people also don't drink out of the toilet, too. Because guess what? Both taste pretty shitty sometimes. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. Now some local stories for your consideration. And once again, special thanks to a member of the Pinnacle, fellow Rutgers alumnus, and the editor of the Hudson County View, John R. Highness, for his reporting on this story. And we'll take it to the Mile Square City of Hoboken, where the Hoboken Housing Authority is voting to remove James Sanford at a recent fiery meeting of the Hoboken Housing Authority. Now, again, they approved a resolution indicating that they'd like to see Commissioner James Sanford removed as recently as last week. Now, according to HHA Chair Barbara Reyes, quote, she put out a statement, Commissioner Sanford, I just want to say I appreciate you asking these questions, right? As a resident, because everything that you have named or you have on your list, I've lived right. I live here and I've lived it, and I really would have wished that you would have done that instead of, I guess, not working with your colleagues, been part of the committees that we have, right? Because the security committee is very well involved with the Hoboken Police Department. When Sergeant William Collins sits here and says that we have meetings with them and the chief is there, the sergeants are there, there are some officers that we just know because of our security committee. She continued that when residents raise their hands to be commissioners on the volunteer board, they agree to collaborate with their colleagues, and that is something he has not done. I've been on this board for 12 years. I've been here longer than you. All I'm going to say is we all serve in our own ways, and in 12 years, there's always politics. There's always people trying to snap a headline or a photo op. That's, again, according to James Sanford, which, folks, I think is really rich because I know James Sanford personally, and the guy's a snake. This is going back to the days when I was the chair of the Hudson County Young Republicans, again, under the umbrella of the New Jersey Young Republican Federation. Now, I did a good job during my 5 years as the chairman for the organization here in Hudson County. And I was succeeded by James Sanford. What was kind of interesting, folks, if you know any of the backstory, we all know that James Sanford's pretty shady. He's a guy that, has run for a political office. He's failed miserably. And he's trying to hold on to any sort of little piece of relevancy by remaining on the Hoboken Housing Authority. But he's been a commissioner that hasn't lived up to his billing. And of course, to no one's surprise, yes, people want to remove him because he sucks. And he has sucked for a very, very long time. Now, James will smile to your face, but believe me, he's more than happy to sharpen that knife to stab you in the back with it. And that's who James Sanford is. So when I read this article from John R. Heinous indicating that the Hoboken Housing Authority wants to remove James Sanford, that didn't surprise me in the least. The guy is shady, he's a snake, he's very underhanded, and he's not very trustworthy. I think we've all learned that about James Sanford. I learned it a long time ago. Now, listen, I've let grudges go. I don't really care. I've gone to bigger and better things. Well, it seems that James Sanford is still sort of like, I don't know, kind of like wallowing in mediocrity in the city of Hoboken. He's never run for elected office again, and why would he? He doesn't have a record to stand on, and quite frankly, based on his work ethic at the Hoboken Housing Authority, you probably will think he'll never run for any elected office again, because why would he? He's not fit for it. Let's move on to Jersey City, and a special thank you to the editor-in-chief of the Jersey City Times, Aaron Morill, for his reporting on this story. And yet another blunder, I feel, from Jersey City Mayor and Democrat gubernatorial candidate for 2025, Stephen Fulop, as he's being condemned by the Jewish community in Jersey City for canceling the Israeli flag raising. Now, on a normal May the 14th, the mayor, dignitaries, and members of Jersey City's Jewish and Israeli community would gather at City Hall to raise the Israeli flag and celebrate Israeli Independence Day. This year, there will be no such celebration. Mayor Fulop, who is coincidentally Jewish, so talk about cutting your nose to spite your face, has canceled the event, and in doing so has drawn stinging criticism from many he has considered allies for several years. Carol Smilia of the Jersey City Jewish Association said the mayor has been mum on the subject for some time. Quote, "We've been asking about it for a while now, and I think he was hoping originally that we would forget about it." Now, in a post on Instagram, the mayor explained his reasoning. Quote, "Several months ago, we canceled the Palestinian flag raising, and at that time, I explained to the community that we would treat all communities with consistency. Now, the Palestinian flag raising was scheduled 6 months prior to October the 7th, and it happened in Jersey City for the previous 2 years. You can imagine the community was disappointed with similar sentiment as here." Smilia and others aren't having it, though. They said, quote, "The Israeli and Jewish community did not request a postponement of the Palestinian flag raising ceremony. We would wholeheartedly support such an event, as we did for the celebration of Eid at City Hall." Now, many responses to his Instagram post were less diplomatic. Quote, "No problem raising the flag of Pakistan and Egypt, but he has a problem with the only democracy in the Middle East. Shameful." Another one wrote, "He is the grandson of Holocaust survivors, which makes his behavior even more shameful. He's been too busy worrying about becoming the governor while Jews in his city face daily anti-Semitic attacks." Now, Fulop isn't alone in his struggles, though. Last week, the city of Ottawa, Canada, was criticized when it canceled the raising of the Israeli flag as well. The mayor then reversed course after complaints from the Jewish community. Well, let me just say this to Stephen Fulop, and I'm looking forward to interviewing him on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV later on this summer. Steve, you are Jewish. You have members of your family that are Holocaust survivors. And what have we been seeing on college campuses, not just across the river in New York City, but at Rutgers, down the road on Exit 9 in the Turnpike, and throughout this country? We have seen jihadists taking over college campuses. And never once do I think that you've condemned any of these people. Very much like Ravi Bala, again, a member, someone running to be a member of the House of Representatives, coming up on June 4th in the 8th Congressional District. It seems like Democrats or far-left Democrats are tripping over each other to see who could be the most progressive and the most woke. Because it seems like, I don't know, enabling or drawing sympathy for Palestinian protesters seems to be the hot topic of the day or the cool thing to do because, you're too cool for school. Steve, listen, I say this with all respect and all sincerity. What the F are you doing? Okay? Coddling jihadists in Jersey City by not raising, because that's what you're doing. I don't care about the Palestinian flag. That's the least important thing to me. But raising the flag of a community that continues to be marginalized, that continues to be attacked on a daily basis. Again, you're Jewish, Steve. I'm not. And why is it I'm standing up for more Jewish people than a lot of far-left progressives are? That should make you wonder. Not because I'm shucking and jiving for the Jewish community. No, I'm not doing that. As someone who's worked in academia, as someone who went to Columbia University and went onto campus where protesters were outside being insufferable in the presence of New York City police officers, which, by the way, folks, shout out to the NYPD during this week that is Police Appreciation Week. Shout out for the great job that they've been doing to contain all these idiots on all these college campuses. But folks, in Jersey City, where we're seeing anti-Semitic rhetoric daily, where we're seeing anti-Semitic rhetoric on college campuses all across the region and across the country, you would think now more than ever is when we need to see an Israeli flag-raising ceremony. Not coddle all these jihadists, not cater to them, not coddle them, not be somewhat, poor Palestinian protesters. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not remotely interested in coddling any of these jihadists because that's what they are. Because when you look at the language and the rhetoric, again, you saw it at Rutgers, see it on tents, you see it on signs, you see it on people's graduation caps. Don't believe me? Go on YouTube or Instagram. You'll see all these college graduations taking place, and you'll see some pretty despicable signs and letterings and rhetoric on people's caps during their graduation ceremonies. Now more than ever, I would say, is the time to, again, have solidarity with the Jewish and Israeli community, not to cater to jihadists that are spewing downright despicable rhetoric. Folks, talked about it on this show weeks ago. We all remember that image I showed you in 1938 on the campus of Vienna University in Austria. What did we see? We saw Nazis on the steps of the college trying to stop Jewish students from going to class. What are we seeing in 2024? We're seeing Nazis with headscarves on the steps of Columbia University, trying to stop Jewish students and Jewish faculty from going to class and simply doing their jobs. Folks, it's really no different. It's Nazis in 1938, and they're Nazis in 2024. You would think that in a climate that is so rich in anti-Semitism, that Stephen Fulop and other progressives would be coming to the defense of Israel and not sort of like pulling their punches back and being neutral on the issue. No, Steve, stand up for Israel, okay? You're Jewish. You have family members that are Holocaust survivors. Screw whatever Palestinian protesters are doing. And I get you want to sort of please everybody because you're running for governor, but do me a favor, bro. At least stay authentic here. And you need to stay authentic to those in the Jewish community. Speaking of knowing better, let me share with you a story from Insider NJ, probably one of the more trash news sites in the state of New Jersey. But of course, it never ceases to surprise me when garbage columns are being printed by their editor-in-chief, Max Pizarro. Now, of course, this past weekend, folks, as you're all aware, the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, visited Wildwood, New Jersey. I had the opportunity to drive 2.5 hours down to Wildwood, all the way down in Atlantic County, for what I thought was going to be a pretty raucous rally. Very peaceful, no violence, anything else. And despite what CNN and MSNBC would tell you, or NJ.com would tell you, or the New York Times, no, there weren't 10,000 people there, probably closer to 50,000 people. But Max Pizarro wouldn't know that because he never leaves his house. Yet he will start a column talking about this rally as he talks about sort of the delusionary Donald Trump in New Jersey. Now, Maxie decides to write, first paragraph, Donald Trump brought his cruel, weird, hateful, indicted, egomaniacal, name-dropping TV personality brand to Wildwood, apparently trying to take advantage of perennial New Jersey dysfunction. Yeah, why is that dysfunction in New Jersey? More on that later. While entertaining his own public delusions. The president wanted to say, I love New Jersey, I'm here all the time. Who's running again and has no shot of penetrating New Jersey, where registered Democrats outnumber Republicans by 1 million. Well, that's true, and that's probably the only truthful statement by Max in this entire column. What isn't truthful by Max is, number one, we all know that he never leaves his house, so to think that he was there in Wildwood, New Jersey last Saturday, that's an absolute farce, folks. I mean, again, he was probably comfortably home, sitting there watching the rally like everybody else was. But I was there, as you can see. I got some color there, being down in Wildwood on the beach. And again, with my press credentials, because again, folks, I know it's a big, bitter pill to swallow for a lot of the Mickey Mouse journalists in New Jersey, but I am credentialed press. And that's something that's not going to ever go away. As much as people wanted to, or again, a lot of the Mickey Mouse journalists in the establishment liberal media in New Jersey would like you to believe otherwise, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. But as credentialed press, I had the privilege to be there and cover the event itself. Now, of course, contrary to what Max Pizarro will tell you, when he talks about New Jersey's dysfunction, yeah, Maxie, the reason New Jersey's dysfunctional is because of progressives and far-left woke Democrats in Trenton in the legislature, and of course, thus occupying the governor's office as well. Another sales tax is being increased. Certainly the gas tax was increased. We're seeing a rise in tolls. We're seeing the state budget get fatter than the latest Victoria's Secret models out there modeling lingerie. But you wouldn't know that from Max Pizarro. He'd rather be virtue signaling with his usual Trump derangement syndrome, like everybody else at Insider NJ, like women that are employed there, like Jay Lassiter, sleepy Alan Steinberg, socialists like, Bob Hennelly, and of course, clueless liberals like John Van Vliet. But of course, folks, what else do you expect from clueless journalists like Max Pizarro? Yes, folks, the president has a lot of energy. Can the president win the 14 electoral votes in New Jersey? Kind of a tall order, considering, once again, the Democrats outnumber registered Republicans by over 1 million registered voters. But there's a lot of apathy about the current president of the United States, who's let an open border and let this invasion of illegals run rampant around the country, record inflation, everything's more expensive. We're shipping billions of dollars to corrupt regimes like Ukraine. But of course, as long as we worry about pronouns and making sure that we coddle the LGBTQ community at the White House during Pride Month, that's what's really on the agenda for Joe Biden. Well, folks, I think a lot of people are tired of it, and you saw it down in Wildwood. And maybe, listen, people nearby in Pennsylvania drove all the way to Wildwood as well. It might kind of remind you that the 46th president might not exactly get reelected coming up on November the 5th. And guess what? While Donald Trump is the 45th president, based on this reaction, he could soon be the 47th president. Lastly, folks, speaking of that tremendous rally in Wildwood, New Jersey, I had the privilege of attending last weekend again with my press credentials bestowed by the Trump campaign and, of course, the office of U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew. It was great networking there with Johnny Belisario, the correspondent working for Jesse Waters on Fox News. Of course, if you watch Waters World every night at 8 p.m., you'll know who Johnny is. Got to network with Johnny and, of course, other great journalists from very prestigious news sites such as the Washington Examiner, OAN, and of course, other news sites as well. It was great to network, great to see the sites, and it was great to see so many enthusiastic New Jerseyans tired of record inflation, just gas prices still continue to increase, illegals flooding over the border by the minute, and of course, a president that is cognitively declining, yet is challenging the 45th president to 2 debates coming up in June, and of course, coming up in September. I don't know if there's enough Adderall or drugs to keep Joe Biden awake, folks, on CNN and on ABC News this summer and fall during these debates, but it's going to be interesting. The president provided a compelling case why the 46th president doesn't deserve to get reelected. Folks, we can't afford another 4 years, another 4 months, another 4 weeks, another 4 days, or 4 minutes, or 4 seconds of Joe Biden. The president had a really, really raucous crowd there cheering him on, and we'll see. Hopefully, he'll be the 47th president on the morning of November the 6th. And that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank all the excellent staff here working every single week to bring you Talking Politics via the Hudson Media Group. I'm so privileged to work with amazing studio staff that, trust me, make my job a hell of a lot easier. I'm also grateful to their CEO and executive producer, Patrick O'Melia, for his belief in my abilities as we continue on 5+ years of Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. Always make sure to check them out on YouTube, and of course, make sure you like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, and of course, follow it on Instagram and Twitter, as well as my own handles provided below. Folks, I can't say enough how grateful I am to all of you that tune in every single week, that share the replays, of course, on all of your social media handles. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Please party responsibly again as we continue on with the month of May. Always remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Thanks for stopping by, and always remember, stay classy, everyone.